What up, my freaks? RuinousInsight here with part 3 of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Lokhir Fellheart Old World campaign. So as we saw last time, Lokhir Fellheart, after reaching our rank 12, started pumping out those Black Ark Corsairs, setting up our first 3 admirals slash Black Ark fleets with enough armies to, or enough units rather, to start doing their own thing. One has traveled through the long way around and is looking to be sort of elsewhere, but obviously we want to be all over the world, be a menace everywhere with the Black Ark fleets, and it's certainly beginning. Our income right now is still negative, but well, we're just going to have to deal with it, which I'm sure we can with all of the Black Arks now up and running and able to, support our income. And of course, we also created a system for the Black Arks in that we pump out their Black Ark Corsairs, and then that allows them to use the cheapest troops available to us to essentially reach rank 10 and then get their revered name of power, which will then decide what type of army composition each of these lords will have. For example, Admiral Kenwovale, the sort of first mate slash current captain of the Tower of Blessed Dread, and got the Life Quencher name of power, and so his Twin Blade Corsairs will be joined by probably Witch Elves. I'm still not 100% sure whether we do Witch Elves or Sisters of Slaughter here. I don't want to do both necessarily, in particular because they worship different gods, and I don't know, I feel like there would be some contention there. But anyway, and we still should make the sort of bulk of the army and Black Ark Corsairs based. I'll think about it. Both have merits, let's say. But anyway, let's start with whatever it is that we've got to do. So, Lokhir, you are in range of Sieros here. Ooh, actually, there's another thing I want to do here. We do have only 4 turns left over on the Sacrifice to Authority, so this is probably the best time to pop off a couple of dictats. We are hankering for a little bit of cash, so we'll do the money dictat first, while it's reduced, the open markets one. And 10 turns, it only gives us 2.5k each, but we can do it 4 times for 10k, which we, will spend pretty much immediately, but, you gotta do what you gotta do. So we'll do open markets here, here, and lastly, here. There we go. And we are still over 10k, so that's good. Here at Isla de Sangre, we will use the Fights to the Death to get the control plus 25, because this place has horrendous control and will for a while due to the presence of the vampiric corruption, so we gotta counteract that. So Fights to the Death, and then lastly, the Scab Reach location, we will do the same thing. Fights to the Death to keep the public order here. It's a little bit annoying to do, but it's alright, as long as we're still over 10k. Alright, and then this place won't have to rebel and won't give us those disgusting debuffs, because the various debuffs, especially the control reduction faction-wide, is just gross and not something we want to deal with right now. Anyway, Lokhir, you're going to proceed to Sieros. These guys have foolishly declared war on us, and we're certainly going to punish them for it. And we do have a guardhouse here, so it might be a fight worth fighting before we sack the place. It does say decisive victory, low casualties. I'll give it some thought. But anyway, there's a couple of other things we need to do before we get into the fight. So first of all, Cammering, you're going to want to move on in and reinforce. Keep leeching that XP until you reach rank 10, which will decide what your army is going to look like. And just like the Black Ark fleets are. Like so. Admiral Moksha will probably move to Diamanterra in a second. I want to take a look at Admiral Kenwovale. We could invest most of our money right now into our first Gargantuan Black Ark, which I didn't even finish speaking before doing it. And at least that will max out this particular Black Ark, and it is our first, and it is the Tower of the Blessed Dread, so it does make sense to do so. I am also tempted into building the Shrine of Cain here. We will want to get the Witch Elves or Sisters of Slaughter reasonably cheap, and the ability to recruit to Death Hag would be nice as well. So we'll do that, and well, there goes all the cash that we just got, so I think we're going to have to deal with this. Again, do we sack it? We'll probably take massive amounts of casualties on the Black Ark Corsairs if we do, which is a bit of an unfortunate aspect to it. On the other hand, since it's a minor settlement battle, the enemy might give us more trouble in terms of the fight than otherwise, so maybe we will fight it. Why not? Alrighty, we do have a war banner. We'll give it to one of the units of Black Ark Corsairs, I guess. They do range damage after all. And eventually we'll swap this onto our first units of Creeping Dread, and the Banner of Swiftness will go to Lokhir Lokhir again. Wait, he didn't change his mount? Why did I... Wait, did I take this off or did I just never put this on him? I guess we'll see. Also, the Ice Blades. I have a really nice idea for an army composition built around this particular unit because they have that chilling aura on them, which is a speed reduction. Granted, the effect range isn't too big, but I like the idea of stacking various slows and various speed reductions in a melee-focused army, or at least partially melee-focused army, rather than a ranged army, which is where you would normally do such a thing. But anyway, we'll deal with that later. For now, let's fight.
The Kraken rumbles, the riches and murder await.
Alrighty, here we go. We're creeping up on that rank 20 and that sea dragon that we've been hankering for. So gotta enjoy Lokhir in melee mode for just a little bit longer. And well, it should be a pretty enjoyable fight, sweeping the streets with the Corsairs. Although we do have to try to close the distance with that mortar first, the AI has foolishly left it rather close to our units here, which, oh, that poor man, which means that we should be able to cut it down. Lokhir's going to actually engage with the mortar first, because, well, he got there first, as he usually does, and our flyers are thus not going to be the only ones attacking it for once, which is great. Here come the other heroes, the Cold One Riders, and the Manticore. Ooh, love that animation on those Cold Ones. Can't wait to get a few Cold One Knights up and running fast as we can. They're pretty darn fun. The Scourge Runner Chariots are also really, really fun, and such a unique unit, too. And I guess Medusae and Witch Elves and Sisters of Slaughter. I've said it before, but I find the Dark Elf roster to have some really interesting and unique units, which make for some interesting armies. Anyway, and the battle is joined as our Corsairs, Handbow and Twin Blade alike, have arrived. First unit of Twin Blades, led by one of the Masters, which we left behind to lead them, while Lokhir went on to take out the enemy mortars. Will, well, lead them to victory, as the swordsman will break rather quickly. See here, 3 units and destroyed. A Rubric of Dark Dimensions kept them pinned in place, and Black Arc support obliterated them immediately after. Now, while the Twin Blades and the single entities are still fighting in the middle, we have moved our Corsairs to the side. There may not be too much in the way of space here, but it's enough to have a little bit of firing action, and that works well for us. Got to make use of our ammunition before we send everybody to do blade work. And admittedly, we've got, what, 53 melee attack on the Black Arc Corsairs with handbows, which is definitely solid, but it's obviously not going to compare to the Twin Blades of having like 80 or whatever it is. And it's pretty crazy. But again, crazy or not, you gotta remember that the stats are, or the melee attack and defense stats are obviously not everything. Corsairs have relatively low HP at only 12,000, compared to, for example, basic swordsmen have 14,000, and then other tier 3, well, tier 3 units and stuff, tier 3 infantry, especially those meant to actually hold the line, tend to hover around 15, 16,000. I think great swords are around there. So yeah, there is certainly a fragility to the Corsairs, at least in terms of their HP values, but obviously we have heavy armor on them, thanks to those sea dragon cloaks, so there is that. Anyway, the battle continues. Crossbows and, well, pretty much every unit here gets hit with a nice soul blight, reducing their melee attack and defense by 13 and 13, and allowing our Corsairs to cut them down all the faster. Lokhir continues leading from the front, but I guess that's always going to be the case. Black Arc support comes down, and just where it only hits our single entities, and not our, oh, that's pretty awesome, and not our Corsairs. I do like the way that Lokhir uses both of his swords. It's pretty entertaining to watch. Anyway, like somebody in the comments, the Dark Elves do have style. All right, and well, the enemy is on the receiving end of that style here, because well, they're down to what, 5% bounce power now. Corsair's been styling on him all fight, and it won't last too much longer. A couple more hand bows to the back and sides. A couple more twin blades to the face, and I believe the last melee unit that the enemy has will break. And the fact that we have Murderous Prowess active also probably not helping matters for the enemy all that much. More spears and swords. On the bright side, with the fact that we're such a Black Ark-focused faction, we'll be able to sail out everywhere where, you know, other factions would otherwise be, you know, able to be much more powerful. Like, factions near us that would be our enemies generally aren't going to get insanely strong because we're going to be cutting them down, but factions that are far away, which have the opportunity to develop massive empires, well, they'll be sighting Black Arks off the coast in short order. Anyway, nice fight. Alright, there we go. Very nice, very nice. And once again, the rubric of Dark Dimensions racks up that kill count. I mean, it's a free pit of shades that, if you place right, can do a lot of work, even being a single spell. And about 10, 12,000 damage on the best performing units. And of course, Sieros here. Still fun to fight in the streets there on occasion. Anyway, we will sack the place. It's a red territory that we have no intention of keeping whatsoever. And it is 4K rather than 2K that we've had a few times now. Hey, and we got a bonus for sacking as well, and a Razor Standard. Very nice. Dark Pegasus for Jessia Gordorth. Yes, you can hold on to that. And again, what do you have? Alright, you have Masochistic, so that Paragon of Excess. Yeah, I guess the Dark Pegasus will make it easier for you to hover overhead, and could even occasionally hover over enemy range units to reduce their accuracy. Why not? Anyway, we're looking to get towards Arcane Conduits, so let's get, I'm going to say, 2 points in Fate Biuna. I don't particularly like Purple Sin of Xereus as a spell, mostly as it's a rather expensive spell for its unreliability, let's say. So I find myself almost never using it because I'd much rather spam Spirit Leech and Soul Blight than risk a Purple Sun doing absolutely nothing. And Valanduil has reached his rank 10, so another gamble. Let's see. Martial Name of Power, let's see what we got. We have Poison Blade. Ooh, that gives you poison attacks, which is decent. And versus Head Reaper, which gives you magical attacks and significant increase to weapon strength. They're both pretty decent options, I would say. And basically, magical attacks is very strong, but we can also give it to you via a weapon. Poison Blade, probably less easy to acquire. And I don't dislike the idea of giving this army another option to get poison. It's a rather strong debuff. So I think we'll go for Poison Blade. Let's give this a read, though. A new blacksmith's forge set up on your land has been ransacked and looted by a gang of peripheral outlaws. After catching and brutally executing the perpetrators, the priest who owns the smith offers you a blessed weapon as a token of his thanks. Which dark blessing would suit you best? Corrosive Enchantment. Though I hope that... Alright, so basically we lose Cavalry Bane for this, and that's fine, it's not a big deal. Alrighty, you take Poison Blade. Though again, magical attacks is very strong. I'm just banking on the fact that we'll eventually get an item that will allow you to have magical attacks anyway. We should also max out the other points, so we'll go for Tough as Nails, and then similarly, I guess, to the other... did I get a Weakness Abhorred on you? Yes, I did. Alright. I should have, and I did. Let's get you Trusted Retainer to get that Unbreakable. Lokhir is going to enjoy that. And, I mean, we will want Ward of Kain on all of these guys. Masters are a more defensive type hero, so we're not super worried about making them incredibly attacky as yet. I do like the Knightly Prestige, though. Although, admittedly, 3% physical resistance isn't much. It'll be 6% between the two. The vigor loss reduction won't matter much because all lords get perfect vigor eventually. What does this do? Physical resistance bonus versus large melee attack plus 15. Ooh, that'll help you be a little bit less defensive. And by getting Trusted Retainer, we lose Whip of Agony, but that's fine. We can get it on the other one. I feel like that makes sense. The other one can have the debuff. Call it a Poison Whip. Anyway, let's go for Knightly Prestige, I guess. At least 1 point in it, and I want to get test it, I guess, just for the 10% HP. It's not bad. Anyway, weakness abhorred, above suspicion, and we will go through pain compliance. It's the missile resistance that we're looking for here. What about you? You guys don't have names of power, unfortunately, so it is what it is. We can get you tough as nails and increase mobility, both of which are worth a fair bit. And we may as well grab Sea Dragon... Well, 5 armor? Okay, never mind. That is for a point, 5 armor? That's terrible. Increase mobility, tough as nails will bring you back. And we should probably... Oh, I screwed up again. We should get strength through spite first. I'm going to say brass lung for 1 point. Sure, and strength through spite, and then tough as nails and increase mobility. We'll grab sadistic next, or afterwards rather. And then Lokhir's rank 18. Damn, I was hoping we'd get up to 19, but all good. We'll go through, I guess, Sheafmaster for now. It will buff the Blackheart Corsairs with hand bows, and they do make up a pretty big portion of this army. Anyway, you can't get back to this. That's alright though. We can pop you in, I'm gonna say in camp to heal up. It's not much, but it's at least something. You're unfortunately out of range of the Black Ark, and I imagine that Admiral Balthanol, getting as close as he can, still won't be able to do anything about that. Yeah, not unless we can increase the range of the circle, but that's fine. Oh, you're rank 7 now. Pretty good. Pretty good. You'll still need Line Breaker, presumably, but you can just sort of hang out and wait for now. Does Dread Expansion give you any XP for sitting there? Unfortunately, it does not. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. What about Admiral Moksha? Okay, so you're going to move on into Diamanterra. You're here for 1 turn because you recruit... Well, I guess you can't move anyway. I was wondering whether we could build a couple of the Witch Elves or Sisters of Slaughter right now, but they're pretty darn expensive, so maybe we'll wait. You, Moksha, will move to Diamanterra. Let's see if we can't sack this real quick. Oh. Sack value is basically nothing. Well, we sacked it before already. Well, you can occupy it then, I guess. Close victory against this? Really? Close victory. You know, considering how... Okay, you know what? Maintain blockade for now. We'll attack this in a second. Considering how slow you're recovering in terms of your units, I think we will have to manually fight that, at least for now, to avoid casualties. Lokhir. 4.8k. I think we need a tier 3 because we can reduce the upkeep production of Corsairs via getting the Warrior Hall, and we need more growth, so the Estates of the Masters, so we need to get the tier 3 even despite the cost. Scout, you're still sailing up towards... too bad you can't grab the Mysterious Island. Towards whoever you can find. Might want to ally with the Legion of Asgore. We'll think about it. Although there is, again, a little bit of competition for a labor force between the Dark Elves and the Chaos Dwarfs. But anyway. Any building? Well, I'd say we can't afford any buildings, so... Oh well, what we can afford to do is get the first round of names in there. Let's do that right now. Okay, you guys are... low in XP. I'm going to start with the higher level XP, guys. Let's do, I don't know, 4 for Convovale and maybe 4 for Lokhir. Yeah, alright. Dual Edge Lords for you. Dual Edge Lords. And the Sea Cutters for you. 3 will be Mark of Murder. And... how about Oceans 100? I think apostrophes do work. They do indeed. That was 4, right? Yeah, that was 4. Alright, let's do 4 for Lokhir as well. Now, I guess we can name the Twin Blades in his army. It's just that they will be transferred to another army because he's going all handbow. These guys will be replaced by the special unit. It's just that we don't have the ability to build any of those as yet. So, anyway, you will be... how about Lokhir's cutlasses? At least for the time that you're with Lokhir. Kraken's Teeth. Kraken's Tendrils. And how about Scions of Karond Kar? Should we name a few of the handbows? I mean, we are definitely keeping handbows in Lokhir's army. Yeah, why not? How about... we do the Kraken's Blades. Not just blades, but, you know. Black Ark Crosshairs. Fantastic. Great name. Serpent's Gaze, and we'll do one more. 4 and 4 and 4. Why not? And then Dark Deluge. Alright, let's do some other stuff, and then maybe we'll add a few more later on. Anyway, who else? Alright, you were gonna fight. Alright, let's do this. Come on. Alright, there we go. Let's do this fight to reduce casualties and actually fight it. Go. Alrighty, to slaughter indeed, Admiral Moksha. Here we go. That's a big old repeater crossbow, and it's got 3 bayonets on the front. All right, completely necessary. I don't know if that actually helps all that much. Although I do wonder if there's a way to use it. If because see, this one, the middle bayonet has a kind of hook on it. If you can trap a sword in between the hook to lower bayonet and the 2 upper bayonets, you might be able to disarm your opponent with that thing. Of course, these guys have a sidearm as well, but I mean, if you're gonna use 3 bayonets, I would hope that they would at least have some practical value. But anyway, it's gonna be a pretty simple fight this time around, just more or less bum rush the enemy with our Corsair piles, leaving a little bit of space between the twin blades for the handbow Corsairs to fire through, and just as they run towards the enemy, though since the enemy's range units are going to be probably more effective than ours here, we'll want to send the twin blades into combat and have them rush the enemy range units and cut them down. Alright, here we go. So begins the bum rush. Enemy's gonna start hitting us back with those handguns and zombie pirate gunnery mobs with, well, the regular ones with pistols as well. And the deckhands mobs will try to hold us back. But we'll see just how effective that is for them. I'm going to drop that Black Arc support on the enemy range units, try to cut them down as fast as possible, and it's pretty critical that we rush the enemy bomb units, as those guys, even with the heavy armor that we have, are going to be pretty devastating with every volley. Fortunately, they are taking some hits from the limited number of dark shards that we have here, but we can see here that they've already taken more than half HP off the unit of Black Arc Corsairs that, with handbows, that was charging them. Bomb units are obviously not to be underestimated, / grenade units, whatever. They can all rack up pretty insane kill counts. I remember relying fairly heavily on them in the early game in the Miao Ying campaign. Those Cathian grenade units are pretty darn solid, plus they have that, what was it, Heaven's Flash ability, the thing that allows them to debuff units, which is a pretty strong debuff as well. But anyway, the Murderous Prowess will activate as we've done and taken sufficient damage at this point, and now those cutlasses will swing all the harder. And the balance of power has, it's hovering around 50%, but I'd wager with the Murderous Prowess upgrade or buff up, they will be able to, or the balance of power will shift much, much faster now. Still, fair few enemies remaining. We do have the animated Hulks over on the left flank and the Rotting Prometheans on the right, and we're doing our best to focus those 2 units down with our Dark Shards. Admittedly, we have the Black Arc Corsairs with handbows with their anti-large ammunition, which would be helpful for that, and a couple of them will move to help out. But the Dark Shards are better off right now firing at those big boys, because all the other units are engaged, and we certainly don't want the armor-piercing bolts of the Dark Shards to be killing off our own Corsairs, or at least in limited numbers. Alright, and it looks like there we go. Like I said, the bounce power would shift very rapidly once that Murderous Prowess activates, and it looks like all that's left is for the last of the enemy animated Hulks and the remains of the deckhands mobs to melt away, or otherwise be beheaded before they can do so. There we are. Close victory. We certainly took damage as we rushed at the enemy, but that should hardly be a surprise. And not to worry, once again, all these armies will will be changed. We're just starting them off with the Black Ark Corsairs. It's the system, guys. Trust the system. As soon as we get that name of power, then we will know what kind of army Admiral Moksha, like all the other admirals, will have, what units will be added to the Black Ark Corsairs. Alright, there we go. Close victory and a surprisingly nice fight, actually. Better than expected. We certainly took a bunch of damage on a bunch of units, or a lot of damage on a bunch of units, with the, by the looks of it... Yep, and it looks like the first unit of Black Ark Corsairs... Oh, right, we named the units in the other arm. We'll name you guys later. You guys took the most damage, but also dealt the most damage by the looks of it, at least for the melee variants, and there were a couple of range variants that were very, very close. 14, nearly 15k as well. Funnily enough, the Dark Shards did less work, but I'm sure that they were still instrumental, as they were quite helpful in attacking the Rotting Prometheans and the Animated Hulks. Anyway, what do we have here? We've already sacked the place, which is why it's not worth nearly as much, so I guess we're free to occupy it. We were looking to get those diamonds anyway, why not? Alright, there we go. Now we are not, I think, going to collect the income. We still have 5 turns of instability here, at least for now. We do have the Sacrifice to Authority still available, so we could pop off the fights to the death, which would at least allow us to have maximum control by the time we take this entire sort of area. You know what, I'll wait a little bit in case we sack more. I'm not sure. Oh, we'll still need to get Lokhir over here, or another army, because Sahagun needs to be picked up. These guys have 2 territories remaining, and we're not allowing them to keep them. Also... Oh. Huh. Did we just add this location? I guess maybe next turn a new Black Ark will come available. At least I hope it will. Guess we'll find out. Anyway, I think we are good. Do we need to build anything here? You know what? Ooh. I'd love to build this Black Ark, but I think maybe we can't afford it. Do you want to pop into Dread Expansion to increase your healing, though? You're in Dread Expansion, and the other Black Arks are... One is hanging around doing nothing, waiting for troops, and the other one is still in the long way around. I believe that's it, so we can skip, and we can end the turn. Alright, mission successful. Hey, this thing does work when you upgrade a Black Ark, isn't it lovely? And Crimson Death gives magical attack, so we could always give this to one of our masters, should we desire to do so. Another Black Dragon Egg, which will be nice. And let's see, journey complete, Admiral Khaleth. Ah, very nice, sir. And hello, we have an immediate shipwreck right there. Alright, guess you get your first fight. So let's get your Lion Breaker to buff up the units a little bit at least. Enchanted Shield, Crimson Death. I don't really care about buffing the Lord, because he doesn't do too much work, but maybe we'll give you the Black Dragon Egg. You're kind of out the furthest with the least support available for you, so you might need it to help out, potentially at least. Anyway, and grab that shipwreck, would you? Like so. Explore the island, and what do we have here? We got a couple of depth guard, which might mince their way through a fair amount of those regular Black Ark Corsairs. Might actually be interesting enough. You know, this is a relatively small battle, but we'll see. And then if it's too easy, next time we run into one of these identical ones, we'll just auto-resolve it. Fight.
For the king!
Alrighty, here we go. And oh, surprisingly not particularly dark map on the on this particular Black Ark battle, despite being a night battle. I like it a lot. Like, it's dark, but it's not so dark that we can't see very well, which is great, because I love to seeing these factions clash. The Dark Elves are one of my favorite factions to play, and the Vampires are my favorite faction to play. And yes, I do consider Vampire Counts and Coast to effectively be the same faction. I find the distinction distinction silly, because it isn't real. It's a manufactured distinction. But anyway, the battle will commence shortly, and the biggest issue for us here will be the 2 units of enemy depth guard with polearms. We can see that they are being targeted with our Blackheart Corsairs with handbows. The idea here is going to be to try to pincushion them as much as possible. The armor-piercing weapon damage or missile strength on the handbows is alright. It's only 4, well, with 2 projectiles, admittedly, but it should still be enough to damage the depth guard, which admittedly are relatively fragile. They're not as fragile as they used to be. I remember on release, and obviously for a while after, especially in vanilla, they were stupidly fragile to a kind of silly degree, considering that each one's a vampire. But in SFO, they're a lot stronger, generally speaking. But anyway, they will close the distance and they will start doing damage, but they've taken a lot more than they've dealt out. And the same thing is repeating itself on the other side of the map. We've kited them for a little while. Admittedly, they run fairly quick, in fact, faster than us, but that does make sense, again, vampires and all that. And while we pincushion these guys and drop them down to half HP, we've left 1 unit of twin blades to fight them, while the handbows continue firing into their flanks and rear and should be able to bring the unit down quite well. You can see Black Arc supports dropping in the distance, but the enemy has no chance once the depth guard are destroyed. The first one will fall, the second one is done for as well, and there we go. The rest of our twin blades have now closed the distance, and we've got the other units rushing towards the enemy ranged line to engage them, such that they can no longer fire. A little bit of a shootout happening as well. But that's obviously not as important. Tide Call comes down and hits our units, and ooh, yeah, we gotta remember to get a sorceress for every Black Arc as fast as possible. They will need magics. Although, again, it'll be an important decision as to which type of magic for which particular Black Arc. Gotta get those level 10s. I also can't wait until we get the appropriate techs and buffs that will give us Black Arc recruit ranks. I believe the Tower of Dark Rituals is maybe +1, but anyway, the earlier that we can start recruiting Black Arc Lords or Fleet Masters at rank 10, the easier it will be to immediately form up their army. Anyway, the enemy army is certainly not being formed up as it begins disintegrating. The enemy lord has fallen and the last remnants of the Deckhands mobs are cut down and destroyed. There we go. And I'm sure there will be plenty of island battles over the course of the campaign, but obviously as our armies get stronger, eventually the only island battles that we will be fighting are the Skull Reefs, because, you know, they have some good stuff, like those rotting leviathans and stuff, and not so much these little ones. But while in the early stages of our Black Arcs, it's better to fight these, and in order to reduce casualties as well, not just to enjoy the fights. Alright, nice little fight. We can heal ourselves, but we're not so damaged, I think, that we really need to. The murder captives might be nice if we want to try to pick up that trait. 1400 gold, though. You know, I'm gonna say get the 1400 gold, at least for now. Once we run into the need to use diktats again, then we will deal with that. Let's see what we got in terms of our rewards for that. Materials at sea. Fantastic. Admiral Khalif, you have paid for yourself already, sir. Now, materials at sea doesn't apply to Black Arcs themselves, unfortunately, so this doesn't reduce that, but at least we'll be able to build some cheaper territories. You can, I guess, move over here and pop into Dread Expansion for the turn, and then get another point in Line Breaker. Oh, lovely. You know what? Materials at sea, let's reward you with a little upgrade to the Dark Elf residences there, and you can keep working on your rank 8, or rank 10 rather, so that you can get your Name of Power, and then that will once again inform what we want to do with your army. Helmut Orr has returned here, but not for long. You are going to occupy Sieros with... And Lokhir just reinforced, just had to make sure, as he was in camp stance, then we'll auto-resolve this. Please don't hurt the poor feral manticore. A little bit. And we'll occupy it this time. To probably trade it away. Envoy, enemy killed in battle. Now, I see a full stack out here. I assume that Lokhir can't... Oh, he can reach. Beautiful. Go all the way to Reyes then. With a full stack and... Ooh, it also has a city watch as well, meaning we could fight through a big old pile of... You know, I'll think about that. Maybe we want to take this to the field. I'm 99% sure they'd sally out if we did this. Fortunately, we don't have Druki First Strike to rely upon here, though. Still, there's some thinking. We'll see. We do have stock on all the Corsairs now, after all. Scout, you still going up the canal, or was it Path of the Maggot Lord that we wanted to go up? This is just going by Goldtooth and identifying everybody here. It's a long way to go. We could send a Black Ark down this way as well, but there aren't too many in the way of ports along the canal. This would take us directly to the Cathians. I wonder how they feel about us. Certainly there's something there. You know what, I mean, I guess this would, going down up the canal would take you there as well. Frankly, I'm kind of tempted to delete him just to get a hero instead, but I guess we'll wait on that until I make my decision. Anyway, you guys, alright, you can now probably afford the upgrade to the Black Ark, although we only have 6 turns of materials at sea, so maybe we should use it. Now... If we had gotten that before I had used the diktats, I would have popped the slave drive instead, because the combination of the 50% construction cost here, the 30% construction cost here, and the 10% here would have made some real cheap buildings. Nonetheless, we've got buildings that are reasonably cheap, so now let's start using every penny we get for the 6 turns, not to recruit, but to build everything we can. Decent likelihood we may even pop off a few insta builds with the slaves that we have just while we have the reductions. Anyway, let's upgrade the Dark Tower here, the Iron Mine, the Brine Mining Basin, and do we actually need the Dark Elf Manors here? You know what, for now, keep it. I might delete it later. Ooh, you can be upgraded to tier 4. Yes, we'll do that. And yeah, this... we will probably speed up so that we can take advantage of building stuff here. And we do have to decide, though, while we do this... Okay, wait, I will get back to this in a second. We should upgrade you... Oh, stupidly expensive, though. I'm probably not going to be collecting money because of the Skaven corruption stuff. We'll need a Cainite... building here. Well, it's never going to get cheaper again, so let's go for the Darkhold here. Sieros, we will probably, well, no, probably about to trade it off, but let's build a conscription hall so that it's worth more to whoever we trade it to. Nuja will get back to you, and everything else is fine. There's no time reduction, is there? Oh, there is the rush construction slave cost minus 25%, which we'll probably have to put at least some use in, but otherwise not really. Alright, so the thing I was thinking about was this. Some of the territories need to be slave economy territories, and then others not so much, because you want to build both the guild hall industry building, which gives slave income generation, but then also at least the slave district for the slave used by buildings, because it's in local region only. Also the slave market, but that should probably go in only the main territory, because it's all regions and province, although admittedly... Wait, it is, let's see, 10%. Yeah, probably not worth it. I'm just wondering whether it would be worth it to build one of these in minor settlements, but at 10% only, and it's all regions and province. I mean, if we have 4 of these, that would be 40 gold per building, which is not that much, admittedly. And that's all it'll give us, right? Well, and also the dictat cost reduction. Yeah, probably not worth it. Only in the main structure. All right, so Cabreros, this territory will be a slave income territory, I think. That'll probably mean we'll need to get rid of the Altar of Cain to Rosa, but we can build it here. So we'll demolish this building, and we'll replace it with something more useful. Here, then, I think we will not go for the slave income. We'll probably build the Halls of Ravaging so we can get additional Masters capacity, and a lot of these slots are taken up by the pottery and the exotic animals anyway, so that makes sense. We do want the Sorceress's Abodes everywhere. We do want the Shrines of Cain everywhere, meaning it's probably now best to invest in them while they're cheap. They're not getting any cheaper. And despite the fact that this place is also going to be a slave economy territory, this is also probably a place where we want to build us. I'm almost tempted to get rid of the torture posts here just so that we can build the more expensive stuff, but I think at tier 2 we won't be able to anyway. We can start on the Altar of Cain, but we can't do any of the expensive buildings yet anyway. But I guess we can replace the Altar of Cain here. Yes, alright, so finding the materials at sea was important, but that's just the big benefit of having those black arcs. Anyway, we can't spend our money on anything else. We can increase our money, though, by fighting this immediately, and then sacking it. Yeah, fine. You know what? We'll fight it immediately. This is going to be a toughie. Pyrrhic victory, medium casualties. We're going to have to fight street by street. That mortar is going to prove something of an issue, I'd wager, but nonetheless, let's get to it. Alrighty, here we go, another minor settlement battle for Lokhir, but with twice as many troops. That's a heck of a lot of enemies, and the sheer amount of the enemy range units are certainly bound to give us pause. It looks like the enemy might actually draw first blood this time as we rush towards them, but the enemy will fire a overcast fireball. Double missile will, smack into our ice blades, taking about 25% of their HP or so, and knocking out a few of those units and clipping the dread spears as well. Ha, that's kind of annoying, considering I put the dread spears in front of the ice blades specifically to absorb hits while the ice blades moved their way in, but it looks like the enemy wizard was wise to that. Gotta appreciate a good play from the AI. Anyway, the way that we are doing the battle is this. The ice blades and the dread spears are going to lead a few Black Ark Corsairs with handbows forward, together with most of our single entities, while we have 3 Black Ark Corsairs with twin blades and handbows over on the right. They're waiting in stock, hidden, and getting ready to hit all those enemy range units here, because there's a bunch unprotected, once we've engaged the melee in the main line. Just in case the enemy has range units that it sets up here, we have also deployed a few, just 3, units of Black Ark Corsairs over on the left flank as well, for a similar purpose. These guys are guaranteed a big fight, these guys not so much, depending on how it works. Let's find out. Anyway, Lokhir will close the distance with the enemy wizard and do a little bit of damage to him. We can probably chase him down reasonably well, especially with the master working there. We'll hit him with a spirit leech. Certainly don't want him casting any more of those spells. Admittedly, he only has a fireball available to him, but again, I still don't really want him to do that. Anyway, looks like Lokhir has gotten bogged down amongst the enemy spears, but well, that's alright. Let him use those red blades to as much effectiveness as possible. We got a Rubric of Dark Dimensions coming down in the midst of 3 enemy units. Probably won't kill all 3, but I'm sure expecting heavy damage, and looks like 2 of them will be down to below 20% HP, and 1 will take about half of their HP instead. Anyway, as I was saying, since Lokhir is going to be on that Sea Dragon soon, this might be one of the last fights that he has available to him with the acting as a footlord like this, so I gotta enjoy his dueling work. Admittedly, he is entertaining to watch on foot as well. Maybe on occasion I'll take him off the Dragon Mount and just allow him to do some work on foot. It's just that once we have a full stack, and especially once we have some monsters in the army, like a couple of Charybdises or a couple of Helldrakes or whatever, then they might overshadow him as a footlord, and he's, again, very difficult to spot when he's fighting together with Corsairs rather than by himself like this. Alright, but anyway, in the meantime, how are we doing? Mount's power is very much in the enemy's favor, but the other Corsairs have at last joined the fray. The enemy range units quickly get cut down, but the enemy moves a bunch of melee troops in to reinforce. Can activate that Black Dragon Egg ability to move through the enemy line, doing about 10% damage. It's not a crazy ability or anything like that, but it also, you gotta remember, provides very nice stats to the Lord holding it, so that's just fine by me. And besides, we have plenty more abilities where that came from. Kane's Cauldron, Kane's Lash, Sky Cauldron, Kane's Lash, whatever, gonna come down in the big blob, gonna debuff the enemies with that Soul Blight as well. And of course, eventually, the Rubric of Dark Dimensions will also go off cooldown, so we will still have that to rely upon. We've moved one of our units of Black Ark Corsairs with handbows around the enemy blob as well, to try to close with the handgunners that were providing support while the Twin Blades continue holding the enemy down in melee. Looks like Lokhir has pretty much soloed this unit of spears at this point. How's he for kills, out of curiosity? 70 kills, that's not bad. And that's not bad for a Footlord. Probably unsurprising, as he'd have fast attacks due to his Twin Blade status. There we go. Well, I'm sure he's having a lot of fun, and it's not like these guys are a threat to him. It's just a matter of how quickly we can kill him. And the Ice Blades close the distance as well. We're not going to have them in this army for too long, as they're earmarked for their own sort of army, so we should enjoy them here while we can. Otherwise, we are continuing to make our way up. I just realized this is a very festive color scheme, the green and red for the enemy here. It actually works well with the plumes and color schemes of a lot of some of the knightly orders. I like the color scheme is what I'm getting at, but anyway, the balance of power, how are we at? There we go, up to 50-50 now, as opposed to the, at 20% or so that we had started with. Of course, it's going to take a while to cut through the enemy knights here if we don't have range support, as we would normally rely on the anti-large crossbows or handbows of the Black Ark Corsairs handbow variant. But oh well, and it looks like the enemy mortar is still active, and thus we're going to have to peel away our sorceress and our Mantcore, who are going to fly around the enemy settlement, heading towards the mortar. Mortars are pretty great on the defense like this, considering their massive arc, and they can fire over all of the obstructions in the enemy settlement, which would have made something like a cannon completely useless. And even fire rain rockets or Hellstorm rocket batteries would probably struggle a fair bit. Looks like the enemy has a platform barricade. I tried to use Black Ark's support ability on top of it in the hopes that it would bring down the platform, but it looks like it does not. An ability like Searing Doom will generally bring a platform down with a single use, but, well, it looks like we can't say the same for the Black Ark abilities. Oh well, we've got more where that came from. Let's see how this ability does. Take about half of the HP off the platform, but on the bright side, hit a bunch of the enemy units as well. Alright, well, it looks like we're just going to have to take it down manually. And it looks like the Black Ark Corsairs on the left flank got to engage with the enemy as well. They were in a bit of a shootout with the enemy Pistoliers, and the Pistoliers have decided that they were not winning that one. Up to 61 missile strength already for the AI. That's pretty solid. Good for them. Anyway, yeah, they decided they weren't winning that shootout, so they decided to close into melee, but I don't think that's going to go any better for them than the other option did. Anyway, the enemy continues to stream forward with more reinforcements, so we're just going to back off a teensy bit with our Black Ark Corsairs with handbows. Open up a little bit of space so that we can drop another Black Ark support ability. This is the one that's Comet of Cassandora equivalent, and this one's very dangerous to our own troops, as we've clipped our own troops a number of times here. There we go. Right into the midst of all three units, severely damaging them. I got too excited. And, well, with that, the enemy army will shatter. Ooh, that was a big comet that, I guess, sealed the deal for this particular battle. And a very nice battle it was. We certainly took a fair bit of damage on a ton of our units. We can see the Dread Spears and Ice Blades here down to like 20% HP. Handbows down to 10-15. This unit is very heavily damaged as well. Lovely. Alrighty, ooh, another unit pretty badly hurt, but at the end of the day, we were able to cut them down, and the enemy couldn't quite leverage all those range units that it had. I think if it had more crossbows and less handguns, funnily enough, they would have done better, but the handguns had to deal with those obstructions far too much. Anyway. Alrighty, there we go. A close victory and a very, very nice fight. Both stacks certainly stood in our way for a fair while there. And ooh, looks like Lokhir's Cutlasses will be the first of the units to rank up to rank 7. Considering they got 225 kills and thus the most kills other than 2 other units, that's pretty darn good. Solid amount of damage at 20k as well. And in fact, ooh, we also got a good work out of the Dark Deluge, 27,274 kills, perhaps unsurprisingly due to the war banner. And who else did well? 18k for the Black Arc Crosshairs, and let's see. Kraken's Teeth 173, etc. damage. The Ice Blades did well as well, but they also took damage together with Dread Spears, though we don't really care because they're sort of temporary in this army. Anyway, we're gonna sack the place for obvious reasons. And I take it we can't immediately occupy it. Well, I'm just going to hope that Cammering will... I don't think he'll be able to reach it next turn. Well, we'll see. Maybe. But if he can't, he can't. We'll just have to deal with it. And then on to Laqueno. Wondering how much the lizards will be willing to pay us for this stuff. We'd effectively have to choose between allying with the lizards and allying with the Skaven and Chaos here. But I don't know, I feel like allying with the lizardmen might make for a much more interesting sort of potential campaign than other stuff. Though, again, the problem will be other potential allies. But how many allies do we really need? I don't know. I will think about it. And, you know, allies across the world will be too far away from these lizards, so they'll never have any contact with them, so then that won't matter. Anyway, Admiral Canwovel, you can move, can't you? Yeah, you can. I guess you're gonna go after this fell cargo here. Pick that up. I want to move towards San Luis if possible as well. We'll sail to the wreck. We will... Well, we've already fought this effectively with the other army, so we'll auto-resolve. It's gonna badly damage these two, but just do it. Especially that one. I could heal up, though it's not a crazy amount, but maybe that'll be the better thing. Alright, fine. We'll enslave this time around. Alrighty, and 8,000 gold. Much needed for all the buildings we'll be building. In fact, Malok's Lair. Let's build you up immediately, and you can go back into our own territory-ish, or our own sea, and then go into that Dread Expansion stance. Are you able to? Yes, build a Death Hag now. So, what do we have here? Passive ability Recovery, Casualty or Punishment rate +2. It's not much, but it is nice. And out of those, yeah, I'm gonna say Blood Bruise. Every little bit will count. Death Hag. Enhanced Death Hags does really nothing for us, but at least we got one. Alright, you're gonna pop into that army, then... Yeah, we don't have any capacity for either one of them. Huh, we have Guiding Eye on the Assassins. That's actually going to come in handy, alright. I'm wondering whether we should get an Assassin for Lokhir for the Black Arc Corsairs, but I'll think about it. Anyway, you reached rank 13 now. Keep going through Slaughter Lord because we will have either Sisters of Slaughter or Witch Elves in this. I mean, you know what? Let's get Root Marcher as well. At least 1 point. It's not a big deal. And Black Arc building wise, again, I'd love to build stuff and upgrade stuff, but we gotta save right now. So just keep on saving. Any other islands nearby before we head on to San Luis? Doesn't look like it. We could send Admiral Moksha around though instead. You can move again after all. That way nobody will be defending Diamanterra, but assuming that this is the only army these guys have, maybe it won't be needed. It's actually a fairly solid stack now. I'm willing to bet that they'd sally out and attack Admiral Moksha if we were to move on in. Alright, you know what? Okay, 2 things to do then. Let's take a look at the buildings again. We are upgrading whatever we can, so let's upgrade Dark Tower here. Yes. And then there's nothing else. We will upgrade Torquerindus, or it doesn't really matter which one. I'd like another Master's capacity, so let's do that. Orchid Coast. 750, yeah. It is expensive, but it would allow us to build some stuff. Okay, we need more slaves. We will not... Alright, we can't upgrade Belmaz. 3 turns, or 1 turn, potentially. I want to see if the Doomsphere disappears or not. We're certainly not spending 13k on it, but we are going to build an upgrade to Rosa for now. And then Miramar Hills, Scab Reacher, again, fine for now. At least. We want to maybe upgrade some stuff. Like, we could upgrade... Magritte, or you know what? Let's see. Where are we upgrading the most stuff? Like here, for example. Maybe we start with this place, with Cabo de los Diestros, and switch you to increase slave production quota. We'll rush all the stuff here next turn, and then depending on how much stuff we have remaining, we'll switch to another territory. Just gotta make sure we do it all before Materials at Sea runs its course. Otherwise, it would be unfortunate. Moksha, you are going to move to San Luis. It would mean not really healing, but hopefully you'll be okay. Go there. I imagine they won't attack you. Hopefully they don't move immediately towards Diamanterra. Anyway, we purposely let you upgrade San Luis to a higher level, so... hopefully we can take it at that level. Line Breaker and... well, other than Linebreaker, we don't know what'll be in this army, so... I guess we could get Sheaf Master for the Black Ark Corsairs with hand bows, assuming we'll keep at least some in this army. Or we keep saving... Nah, you know what, let's keep saving the points for Ship's Navigator. There's a lot of good stuff in there. Alrighty, and oh, Lokhir, you gotta be kidding me. You are less than 200 XP away from your Sea Dragon mount. Oh well, go here to heal up, please. And I'm not going to bother leveling everybody else up, and I think that's good, right? The other Black Ark... I don't like how it doesn't show that Black Arks have movement remaining, so I never know... Yeah, see, he had movement, but it didn't look like he had movement because he was in Black Ark expansion. That's really irritating. But what can you do? Your HP is actually pretty good, so let's go into March stance, sail down the coastline here, picking up islands as we go. You've already got us Materials at Sea, so we are definitely gonna reward you for that one with some nice stuff. Alright, well, keep looking for stuff. And I assume that's the only Black Ark we had left that needed to move. I mean, technically this Admiral can move, but there's nothing really for him to do. Yeah. Actually, if we attack San Luis, we should keep Admiral Conwovale nearby, shouldn't we? Because he has the higher levels of the Black Ark support. I'm almost tempted to invest in them. Like right now. But you know what? We're gonna upgrade a bunch of stuff next turn, so we'll do without. What do we have in terms of rights available? We have... We do have the Sacrifice to Cain, which we could pop off with the constant casualty or punishment rate and income from post-battle loot. In fact, I probably should have done that before this fight, but I might do that next turn. Either way, we'll end turn now. Alright, Sacrifice to Mathland from Hag Grief, good for them. Oh, wait, we haven't checked Diplo in a couple turns. What do we have here? Shadow Legion want to trade, and Court of Libaros want to trade. Actually, Tomb Kings are a good potential ally for us, and because they don't hate us, they have no aversion, and they like the fact that we will get strong. Maybe we'll ally with Khalida. Certainly, I don't want to, like I said, it bothers me allying with Chaos as Dark Elves, and while Dark Elves are willing to use Chaos, they are not their allies, so, yeah, anyway. Khalida's certainly an option. It would mean not attacking Khalida with the... there we go, another island. Wait, it's a shipwreck, meaning I think we have to fight it, meaning I guess we'll do that next turn, but anyway. Yeah, you know what, I don't like this like that idea. Where's Khalida? Court of Libaros. We can... oh. 475, it'll pay for itself, at least eventually. In like a turn. Okay. And the rest of the trade agreement possibilities we'll ignore for now. None of the Dark Elves that are alive want to confederate as yet, but that's not unexpected. I didn't expect them to. Camring. He can't reach it. Alright, well, that's a little bit of an annoyance, but I guess what it is what it is. We'll have to waste the turn with Lokhir then, but... he will get his rank 10, so that's nice. Lokhir, head on into Reyes. And pop on in, auto-resolve, a little bit of damage. Why would the Sorceress get damaged? I know she's on a Dark Pegasus, so she's fast, but that's still silly. Loot and Occupy. Alright, and the place is looking likely to move into rebellion, but Cloak of Haggrief, Ravagers of Arkarth, Sisters of Singing Doom, ooh, I know who you could give that to, and Lokhir, there we go. Mr. Lokhir just got a considerable power up with that one. And he's got 2 points, so we can max out Chief Master and then start soon getting use out of that rank 7 and more powerful units. Beautiful. Alrighty, now, Black Arcs from the top, because we know that they can move despite the fact that the AI is pretending that they can't. Huh, are these guys going to Diamanterra? I mean, if they do, they do. I would like you to besiege San Luis, and I would like for them to come out and attack you. I think it's possible, especially with the units there. Actually, I'm not even sure. Well, oh yeah, the sirens are going to be an annoyance. We need magical attacks in this army. Maintain blockade for now. We can give you, sir, at least magical attacks. Where Crimson Death was it? Yes, Crimson Death. You can have that. Other item-wise, what do we have here? Cloak of Haggrief, armor, missile resistance. I don't really care for this version of Dawnstone, so we'll probably delete that. I think I'd rather have the enchanted shield with the 15 armor than the little bit of missile resistance, which would be better on a bigger target than the admirals, because they're on foot. Black Amulet is very solid, but I don't imagine you'll be fighting in melee all that much. On the other hand, again, this will be better for bigger targets. I will give this to you for now, at least. What do we have here? Eraser Standard, Bodyguard, Evil Choir Master. Still amuses me tremendously. Who got the Dread Banner again? Admiral Calith. You know what? You can keep that. You got Admiral. You got Materials at Sea, which was good. You can Vale. I would like you to go here and provide Black Arc support to the other Black Arc. Like so. And then go into Dread Expansion, and then we'll pop the Death Hag into your army, who... Oh, okay, so it's the Death Hags that do replenish troops. It's kind of interesting. Well, I guess if you know how to take life, you know how to prevent its taking to some degree? Maybe? Maybe? I don't know about Death Hags, but whatever. Scout, you are still going up and finding factions for us to potentially ally with. The ogres, I'm sure, will trade. Calith, was it this turn that you moved? Yeah, okay, yeah, this is gonna get annoying, but we'll just go through them one by one. And then you are fine as you are. And there's nobody you can really support yet, especially while we don't have any troops available for you. Lokhir, why are you healing so little? Oh, it's a red territory, that's why you're healing so little. I should be wary of auto-resolve because of that. Do we want to do anything with you? You know what, let's upgrade the Warrior Hall. I know I said I didn't want to spend any money, but this will reduce some of that money by virtue of the upkeep reduction on his Corsairs, but we'll hold off on building anything else. Or, there. Then here, we've gone into increased slave production quota, meaning we are free to spend a little like so, and like so. I can't upgrade you to the next tier, but this gives us the ability to build sorceresses if we want to, which we do, but not necessarily here. Can we build a sorceress tower here? Maybe if we get rid of one of these things, for example, the torture posts. Much as I'd love them, all of our settlements will have torture posts, and we don't have to have them here. Should build that prison wing, rather, but we want to upgrade stuff first. So, here we want to upgrade and build the Altar of Cain as fast as we can. It's probably going to be cheap to build a Tower of Dark Rituals right now, which will give us a Black Arc cumulative growth rate and income from Black Arcs faction-wide, meaning we want those everywhere. We could take this opportunity to build a relatively cheap Dreadmance, or start going through the Dragon Hatchery building. Frankly, all of that would be nice, but there's a limit to what we can build right now. 1,600 and 1,000, so we'd save more money by going through the Beastmaster's stables by the looks of it. 4 turns and we have 5 turns remaining, so we would have time to upgrade it further. And Blackguard of Naggarond and Cold One Knights are way too expensive to build right now. Admittedly, so are the monsters, but the Helldrakes not so much. They're reasonable in terms of their cost compared to these guys. So let's go through the Harpy Roost. Alright, and then we can upgrade this thing here as well. Like so. Then we can upgrade the port, the Halls of Ravaging, and then the Exotic Animal Tamer. We could immediately rush you and then build the next version of it. Do we want to rush the Harpy Roost, or we could just wait instead of wasting the time? This will be upgraded in 2 turns, and will be upgraded to... Let me just check what tier. Okay, so this has to go up to tier 4, meaning we have to do it twice. But it doesn't need to be rushed. Actually, one version would need to be rushed, wouldn't it? Yeah. Alright, so you know what? We'll rush this one. And then do that. This one will be upgraded, and then we won't need to rush it, and then the rest of this stuff minus you, yeah, you won't need to be rushed. We have one more turn where we will need to rush the Dark Tower here, which is next turn, and then build some stuff, but otherwise we'll be good. Alrighty, that means we can go to the next territory, which will be Cabreros. You are going to switch out to... We have 2 turns remaining to sacrifice authority. You are going to switch out to the same thing. Rush construction cost reduction. Belmaz, oh, the Doomsphere disappeared. Alright, well, that's a loss of healing, but whatever. Cabreros. Much as I love the torture posts, I think it's more critical that we build expensive purple buildings, so we'll delete that for now and then replace it later. Alright. What about this place? Do we want to just switch it for now? You know what, let's just do it for both of them then. Increase slave production quota. I don't like the, you know, how many per turn loss it is, but it is what it is. This is going to be a slave income territory, so we will want to upgrade it. Well, I mean, we'll want to upgrade it right now, but yeah, just do everything we can. And is that all the provinces now? Again, so you're being switched next turn, you and you are being switched right now. This place, we don't need to rush it. But I guess we could build and rush some stuff next turn. Well, actually, is there anything that we would need to rush? This place hasn't grown enough for that to be the thing to do. So yeah, you know what? You're fine as you are for now. Miramar Hills, Scab Reach. I would like to rush this, but we'll see. Again, yeah, it's never going to get cheaper to build stuff here. In the red territory as it is. Diamanterra, oh. We could upgrade you while you're cheap. And this place, we don't care about the public order. This place we kind of do, but that might change. You know, I'm going to hold off on Scab Reach for now. We might rush it, we might not, it depends. Diplomacy we checked, and I believe that's everything. Yes? Alright, so a little bit of admin, but the materials at sea will make it really, really worth it. As they'll allow us to get lots of armies up and running. Let's hope that these guys sally out and attack us outside San Luis. Ooh, 10,000 sack value. But it would enable us to take it at tier 3. I'll think about it. Before I wanted to take it at tier 3, but now, with materials at sea, the 10,000 gold may be more valuable directly as gold. Huh, they didn't sally out. That's kind of surprising. Are they unable to sally out? I'm not entirely sure. We can't build siege equipment, unfortunately, so I was really banking on them coming in to sally out, but it might be that the AI can't. We can't really easily break through the enemy walls here either, can we? I'm gonna have to consider that some. Anyway, sacrifice to Mathlan. What do we have in terms of here? Lequeno, you are defended, but are you so defended that we are concerned about it? You will proceed to Lequeno, Mr. Fellheart. On that sea dragon now, isn't it beautiful? And then you will besiege this, at least for now. Oh, let's get you that standard. Gonna be a quick one. You don't have a defensive structure, so you're probably gonna attack this immediately. You're gonna move on in, and hopefully we can sack and occupy it at once. If we ally with the lizards, we won't be able to ally with any of the Skaven. Admittedly, there's no Skaven units we want, but we do want trading partners because the Dark Elves, despite what you might think of them, are a faction that does trade with other factions. They absolutely do. And we will want to make at least some of our income through trading, so we'll have to give that some thought. Anyway, let's do... Well, if we attack this... Think about it. You can't move. Caliph. Okay, let's start with you. You're gonna grab this. And sail to the wreck, and this time we'll auto-resolve it. Okay, you can have the Dread Banner. Put it on you yourself. Auto-resolve. Yeah, more damage than I'd like, but it is what it is. I think we'll take the Enslave this time around. Alright, now you got lost cargo. Good lord, Caliph. You are a very, very, very useful guy. Okay, we're really gonna need to reward this guy with some real good stuff. I'm just waiting on that rank 10 to get him his name of power, and I also would like him to heal faster. Once we get Ship's Navigator, that should speed it up at least a little bit via this, although I'm not entirely sure whether it actually works or not, but that's also rank 10, so we'll wait. You know what we'll do? We'll use the Sacrifice to Cain after all, and that should heal us up a little bit. And does that say 50 turn cooldown? Good lord. Alright, well, it's a long time, but hopefully by the time we need it again, we will be able to have heroes that provide healing in every army, like Death Hags. Ugh, I wonder if Lokhir is gonna need a Death Hag. It'll certainly reduce the number of troops that he'll have in his army, which is a bit unfortunate, but again, it is what it is. And oh, right, we may want to... Let me just see here. Miros, you can get another one of these guys. Yes, Fleet Master. You can get you popping in, get you immediately into Dread Expansion, and get you Inspiring Presence, and begin waiting until we get more. Then... we're going to deal with stuff here. So first of all, San Pedro de Sur will immediately build the Dark Tower here and immediately rush it so that we can immediately build you, and then I guess we're going to build another master thing here. We got 6 turns total. We have 4 turns of materials at sea, so if we want to save the money, we'll want to... unless we want to build another Shrine of Cain here instead. They make equivalent or equal amounts of money, so that doesn't really matter. This will give us double capacities, though. Cainite Assassins and Black Ark Reavers and Death Hags. We do want more of those, but we'll probably have less opportunities to build Halls of Ravaging, admittedly. This gives us Public Order. No, it doesn't. It just gives us Anti-Corruption. Yeah, so let's just build a Hall of Ravaging here. We'll need a master with every single lord, which is why I'm so concerned about it. Anyway, we'll rush you and rush you. And we'll build you up for cheap, and then there is nothing else that needs to be rushed here, because you will complete, and then you will complete, and then we'll just be able to build the next versions without needing to rush them, meaning we can demand highborn hostages. Alright, next territory. This place. We have switched to be able to rush stuff, so... 3 turns for all of this. This is the one that matters, though, because it needs to... well, yeah... this is the one that matters. At least matters the most. We'll rush you, so that we can upgrade you to 3, and then 5 turns, meaning we have to rush you immediately. Like so, and then upgrade this stuff we don't need to rush because it'll complete while we still have materials at sea, so we'll be able to upgrade you, and, well, actually it depends on if we want to get rid of you. If this is going to be a slave economy territory, we will want to build the artisans' houses everywhere. Here we will want to build the... slave market, income from slaves for all regions and province, and just the one in the main territory. Although we will still want a Shrine of Cain. I guess we want to delete this Shrine of Cain because we'll replace it with the slave building and slaves used by buildings in local region. Does that matter that much? What's the maximum amount used? 35. That's a fair bit. It's a fair bit of loss per turn, so maybe at least in the early game we will want the slave district. And it does give us control plus bonuses in additional provinces. Yeah, fine. We'll do that here. Here we will build the arena, I guess, but it isn't as high a priority as these things. Alright, so I guess we will want to rush this thing then. Russia just got to keep over 10,000. I wish we could get to tier 4, but I don't think it's going to happen. At least not here. Yes to the Sorceress's Abode. We are building the Shrine of Cain, and then here, yes, we will do the slave market. At least the first level of it, I guess. And it's local region, yeah, alright, so that's fine, that's fine. Here we'll build maybe a Shrine of Cain or something, or we'll still build another artisan's house, even with the lack of this. And then we'll still need to build another artisan's house at Cabreros, but we'll do that later. Now, I believe nothing else here needs to be rushed. Unless I'm mistaken, so you can go back into Highborn Hostages. Next up, this place. Alright, what do we have here? So we will build you up, Dark Tower. We'll probably have to rush you because you won't be completed before the materials at sea is up, and neither will you. So, we will rush you, and we will rush you if we have enough left. Wait. Just enough. At least for now. And we'll build, and then here we will go for the slave slums. Like so. This doesn't need to be rushed, this is fine. Here we will build the artisan's house, I will build one here as well. Here we will build the slave slums. And then while we could go for the slave pens, maybe we should do this torture posts here. Nah, probably a good place for it. Alright, fine. None of which need to be rushed. You will need to be rushed, but once we have enough slaves to do the rushing. So, Lokhir, slave acquisition. It is time. Master, let's level these guys up before we fight. Pain compliance, gotta get that missile resistance for Lokhir. He's gonna need it now since he's a big old target. You are... sacking settlements, yes, pillage. And I'd love to get Lokhir at some points in sacking settlements as well. You, sycophantic schemer, income from slaves for local province, none of that matters. Retinue bard is fine, but not critical right now. Experience for units is good, but again, not critical. Maybe we should just go through knightly prestige. Yeah, let's go through knightly prestige. Alright, and then lastly, you. 1 point, we got Arcane Conduit, we have Soul Blight and Spirit Leech Max, which are the main things that we wanted here. Let's get Hikardi's Blessing. I should probably also grab Scouting for the additional items. Anyway, let's do the first fight with our first Sea Dragon. Go. Alrighty, they will indeed suffer, especially now that we have our first Sea Dragon on the field. And I'm expecting great things from Lokhir here, especially that we have the Briny Breath ability, which should increase the sort of anti-blob capabilities of Lokhir, definitely changing his sort of dynamic against the enemies. He does still need regeneration in order to properly tank things like this, as he's going to get, well, you know, a little beat up by all the crossbows firing at him, but he now is, or has, a living battering ram to work through that gatehouse, which is going to work fairly well for us. It is going to take a while to bring it down, but at least we're safe with, well, most of our army. At the very least, the Blackheart Corsairs, because they have stock, but we're going to have to back off the Ice Blades and stuff, and wait while Lokhir batters down the gate. Alright, we'll speed it up while he does that. It's gonna take a bit of a while, and while we wait, a little bit of housekeeping to mention, and I forgot over the last 2 episodes, unfortunately. Engagement threshold. Yes, I know you hate to hear the words, but yeah, it's just the way that the YouTube works, gotta deal with it anyway. We do an engagement threshold type deal on the channel, so the length of the campaign, length of the episodes, etc., depends on the interest, which we, well, gather or determine via engagement. So basically, we reach the engagement threshold, we get the longer episodes. For example, this episode gets 500 likes and 70 comments. The next episode will be of a similar length, hour long, hour adjacent, as I like to call it. Anyway, that's enough of me. Oh, well, that's enough of that, rather. I'll shut up now. Lokhir, time for you to continue working with that Sea Dragon. He's already racked up 37 kills and 21,000 damage and nearly defeated that enemy lord. One more hit, and it looks like the general is done for. Kind of hard to keep track of him because he's not on the mount and just being battered around by the Sea Dragon here. But that's alright. I do like that we can now use Lokhir's mass to actually, disrupt formations and such. When he's a foot lord, obviously he can't really do that. He just gets stuck on any unit of infantry, which is kind of meh. I remember being very disappointed when I played Vanilla Skulltaker, in that even on his Juggernaut mount, he would get stuck on bloody everything because he just didn't have enough mass. I hope that SFO has changed that. I guess we'll know next time and play Khorne or, well, yeah, just generally Khorne, whichever it is, as long as we can confederate Scully. Anyway, this is Lokhir's battle. It is a relatively small enemy contingent, so we've got to enjoy ourselves here. and enjoy seeing our first Sea Dragon in action. It'll be a little bit of a while until we get any more of these guys, since they are a tier 5 unit, but the Helldrake packs should be up and running pretty darn soon. And Lokhir might get the first couple of ones. In fact, if we can get his Black Ark built up to a slightly higher degree, maybe that will be one of the things we do very soon, because we gotta trade his Black Ark Corsairs to one of the Black Arks anyway, and re-recruit his army. His army is also the best army to, you know, re-recruit Black Ark Corsairs and use new ones in. Simply because he's going to fight so much that he'll constantly rack up all that XP. Anyway, Lokhir doing pretty good, already nearing 200 kills and 40,000 damage. Admittedly, he's down to near half HP, so he is taking damage at the same time, and it might warrant that we do his quest battle relatively soon as well. I believe it's not the Red Blades, it's the Kraken Helm that gives him regeneration. I gotta double check, but the regen would really hit the spot. So if that's the case, then we have to prioritize that, especially now that he's a pretty darn big target. We have stacked a decent amount of missile resistance on him, and that's why I said I wanted 2 Masters in the army to give him additional missile resist. 28 ward, 51 missile, pretty darn solid, but obviously he's still taking a fair amount. Not so much from the enemy melee, as they just can't really, deal with this at all. Otherwise, what units Lokhir didn't take care of were cut down by the Twin Blades and the Hand Bows. I guess it doesn't really matter. And it looks like the enemy army will in fact shatter before the vast majority of our army actually makes its way into the enemy settlement. A lovely work from Lokhir. There we go, Lokhir now racking up the kill count and the damage count. 50,000 damage, 334 kills. He may not have that rubric of Dark Dimensions, but clearly here at least, he doesn't need it. Lovely, absolutely lovely. We also have 379 slaves, 3.1k treasure. That's alright. And damage-wise, at nearly 10k and 123 kills, it's the Kraken's Tendrils, probably one of the first units. And the Breach and the Kraken's Teeth, the 2 Kraken units, appropriately, with the Krakenlord doing all the work. Here we will sack the place. I also want to stop you moving. Oh, you can still move back into it. Do we want you back into it, or do we want Cammering to do it? I mean, it doesn't really matter much, does it? I mean, I guess you could channel and stuff out here. Yeah, fine. Cammering rather. You can go to Lequeno. Ooh, 1 more level and then you'll be rank 10. Isn't it beautiful? Cold One Chariot for Valanduil Poison Blade. No, stay on the Cold One. And Scourge Runner Chariot for Cammering. Yeah, you can hold on. Well, actually, no, you're going to be more expensive because of it. So while you're a follower lord, just be cheap, please. Alright, Province secured to Stallion Highlands. We will be transferring this away, so... Wait. Minus 32. I was hoping it would rebel, but I guess we want to start moving away next turn, so we will... Demand Highborn Hostages. I guess we could repair this stuff. It's not money I'd like to spend, but while we have cheap buildings, we can delete both of these, replace them with military structures, and... trade it to the lizards? We could trade all 3 of them to the lizards and immediately declare war on them as well. There's potential for that. How much is this worth? Lequeno by itself is worth 17k. Good lord. That's a definite yes. Ooh, I'm actually a little bit scared that if we don't give them Lequeno immediately, you know what? Do this. If we don't give it to them immediately, the problem will be that they might lose this money next turn. So we'll do this. They can have it. We're not going to ask for anything here because I haven't decided whether I want to be friends with them or not, but we do want all of their money. So we'll give them Lequeno. And then we'll think about whether we want to give them all the settlements, then immediately turn on them, and then take them again. And then the rest of their settlements, and then just sell them to the... and then just sell them to, for example, the Wrath. This seems like an appropriately Dark Elven thing to do. Kill these guys, sell them their settlements, then immediately after the purchase has been made, kill the guys we sold them to, take them back again, and then sell them to another faction. I like this plan. I like it very much. Anyway, do we have any more buildings to upgrade? Greedos Road, yes. Let's go for the Dark Tower here. Ooh, we're going to need to increase slave production quota there because we'll need to rush you. You upgrade, you will be... Yeah, I guess we'll go for the Artisan's House as well. And then you can go for the income for now. The slave slums. Alrighty, and then Miros, you're kind of in the same position. I did say I wanted the Altars of Cain everywhere, so we will build that. Unfortunately, it looks like this will be the only tier 4 that we could build. I was hoping to build more of the Tower of Dark Rituals while they're super cheap, but it looks like that'll be the only one we can do. At least unless we somehow get a lot more growth going by virtue of fighting more, but we also lack... Yeah, we need more slaves as well. What are we at here? I really don't want to lose this many per turn, and we don't necessarily need to rush this, although we want to rush this. Alright, fine. One more turn then. At least one. And Scabbreach, you're kind of in the same position. Alrighty, well, we got Lequeno. Just out of curiosity, how much is Sieros worth to you? Do you still have the money to be able to afford it? You do. We can immediately give that to them. And then move back to it in preparation for declaring war. I find this tremendously amusing. Yeah, so let's do Sieros then. Wait, we're not building anything there, are we? Sieros we are not. Alright, good. Sieros, give us this 8k as well. Fantastic. And we'll do one more with Reyes. And then we'll kill them all again. Alright, now Nakari and probably the rats won't like all of these quote-unquote gifts that we're giving to these guys, but it's, well, let's just say it's worth it. Alright, Miramar Hills, you're fine. Now, let us take a look at our Black Arcs. Now that we have a little bit of cash, we should upgrade some of them. Definitely the Estates of the Masters here. Kenwovel, if you... You know what, I guess we can move you away from Admiral Moksha. It doesn't look like these guys can sally out. You can maintain the blockade, however. You can go here. And... Okay, so this is the rats, which we might attack. I don't like... We'll see how many ports they have out here. If it's too many, I think we'll just kill them. Let us upgrade the Blood Rat Cauldrons here. Or the various Black Arc support abilities. And then here I wanted to build something, and I believe it was the Sorceress's Abode, because I think we need these everywhere, don't we? Yeah, it's the Sorceress's Abode because they provide us research rate and the ability to recruit sorceresses, which is definitely needed. So go for the Sorceress Cabin. And actually soon we can get rid of... we can't get rid of the Estates of the Masters because of the replenishment rate, but we will want to probably build a Dragon Tower here for the capacities for the monsters, if nothing else. Though I don't think we should get rid of the Prison Wing. Too useful. In fact, build it up right now. And yeah, go for the Sorceress Cabin, and we'll upgrade it to the max as well. It's really too bad that this doesn't increase capacity for them, though, but what can you do? Alrighty, that's good. Lokhir, you can move slightly. We can also build at least the Estates of the Masters in your territory. Alright, staying in camp, we're going to need to move back down to Sieros, as we will be attacking them again. Estates of the Masters, and... I mean, it's relatively cheap to build the sacrificial pits here. You already have a sorceress, so that's not critical. I'm just looking at what we might need in your army. I do want some Helldrake packs and Charybdises, probably in your army. The other option would be to ignore this and go all the way to Enormous Black Arc as fast as possible. But you know what, let's get at least the first versions of the sacrificial pits / Black Arc support. Do we have anything that increases your Black Arc growth rate, like a... Evil Choir Master, yada yada yada. No, unfortunately we do not. Alright, so we'll just have to wait for the cumulative growth to be good. Admiral Moksha, wait. You're not the Admiral I was looking for, you are. You can move again for this turn? Yes, ugh. I'm really going to start forgetting who can move, who can't, etc, etc. But oh well, go all the way out here and then see if we can't pick up another island or two. Let's also upgrade your Grand Black Arc, and the rest of this is fine. And your Line Breaker is fine as well. Fantastic. Diplomacy check. What do we have here? Lots more trade agreements available. Goldtooth is pretty friendly. Let's say a decent potential trading faction. Oh, looks like Hag Grief wants to trade now. Alright, we'll trade with Hag Grief as the priority faction because we want them to be as friendly with us as possible. And I guess we'll do Goldtooth as well, at least for now. And the problem is he'll probably get into a fight with the Chaos Dwarfs, but he is willing to give us a fair bit of money for the opportunity to trade with us, so I don't mind. And I guess we could trade with the Thunder Guts as well. They're right beside Malice, so they're friendly with him, so trading with them will make them friendlier to us. I don't know whether we'll kill Eshin or not. We might. I, again, don't like the idea that they're occupying a lot of coastal territory, and we could always just give Eshin's territories to, well, the Eshin territories that are here to Scryer instead, I imagine. Anyway, that all looks good to me, and I believe we're ready to end the turn now. You should be in Dread oh, and actually you shouldn't be in Dread Expansion. Huh. Sack Valley used to be 10k, but now it's 7k, probably because the blockade is interfering with it to some degree. If we could use the butt ladders, I'd attack, but, you know what, I'll give them one more turn to attempt to sally out. We could, you know, sort of cheapskate break through the gate with Admiral Moksha himself. We can do that. I'm just really hoping that Ellie the Starved simply goes in and attacks us, because she can. It's just she's refusing to do so, but anyway. Alright, cowardly Schmidt's renegades have refused to attack us, so maybe we should just send Lokhir around this way. It's not like we're in a hurry about Sieros and Reyes. Alright, fine. You can move this way. You, Lokhir, can, I guess, stay in and camp stance until you're full HP, and then move back around. Because we'll have to start at Sieros again anyway, so yeah, you guys can travel together. And we'll check how much Reyes out. We'll make it worth more by building the conscriptions halls before we trade it away. Wormkin's destroyed, but it's not our problem. Let's check Diplo nonetheless, though. Eshin and Gouger want to trade or want to be non-aggression with us. We'll ignore Gouger for now. They are at war with Legion of Asgore. They like our treaties with Goldtooth, so they could potentially be at ally, though minus the issue of the Legion of Asgore, then probably not wanting to trade with us. Nonetheless, let's do it. And if they die, they die. We're not going to do an alliance with them as yet because I haven't decided who we want to ally with. And then we'll see. And Darkness Daughters will most likely be wiped out rather soon because they only have the one territory remaining. Alright, next up, that was Lokhir. You in Woevale. I'm just going to have to move by the Eshin territory. You know, I'm not going to put you into March stance because I don't really trust it. You never know when you can run into like Dastan Coldeye or one of the nasty rogue fleets, and I'm not risking our most expensive Black Ark. I can't build a Spire of Sorcery, but now we can get you a Sorceress. What kind of Sorceress do we want for this army? It's gonna be a melee army, so we'll need to approach and sort of, you know, mitigate the damage that we're liable to take. I'm inclined to say that means we are best off using a Sorceress of Beasts. We could get another one of the Paragon of Excess, a reduced melee attack, which considering we have enemies with, or our units with low melee defense, it's kind of making sense to me. So yeah, let's go with the masochistic one. Like so. And then you're rank 14 now, which means... what are we going to go for next? I mean, we could keep going through this. I'm almost tempted to just grab Infamous Raider and Dreaded Slaver in order to get Elven Healing. And there's also Quartermaster to think about. Maybe that's the better way to do it. Yeah, maybe. Let's go through Infamous Raider to start then. It's not like we really need to power up the Black Ark Lords on their own. And Clan Scryer has been encountered. I'd like to see how they feel about us. They do not appreciate the quote-unquote gifts given to the cult of Sotek, but not to worry, once we betray them post-gift, we will simply deal with it. Now, they won't like us attacking or betraying the seducers of Slaanesh either, but admittedly, it's the Dark Elf way to betray, just as much as it is the Skavens. Though on the other hand, if we just ignore all of this, we could feel free to move elsewhere. That's a decent option as well. I'll think about it. For now, let's keep everybody moving. Admiral Dekankar and Admiral Balthanol, so you're both fine, at least until... oh, this is, I guess, a good reason for getting Lokhir over here. Take out this, but then it'll give us the time to recruit the troops needed for both of these Black Arks to start moving. Yeah, alright, fair enough. Moksha is fine. Keleth, you still need to move. And I'm not spotting any... you know what, maybe March stance or full speed stance. I don't think anybody's likely to attack you here. No islands, unfortunately. It's alright. We got a lot of coastline to cover. It doesn't bother me none. And we'll go up this way. There's often, pretty much always islands in the Sour Sea here, so we'll go along this and just keep going through stuff. And if we find an enemy that we can attack, then we'll attack them as well while picking them up. Alright, Moksha, I guess you're waiting for Lokhir, which means a little bit more building, and then another end turn. Ooh, we're starting to lose the public order because our sacrifice to Tharti, was it, ended, but it is what it is. Now let's go for the crafting district here. These don't need to be rushed. What needed to be rushed here? Why did we... Oh. Magritta probably needs to be rushed. We got 3 more turns, or we could let it finish and then... rush whatever other thing. Yeah, maybe it's fine. You know what? Switch to Highborn Hostages for 1 turn. And I just will try not to forget about it. And Nuja, you're fine as you are. No need to rush anything. Orchid Coast, you will build the crafting district. Nothing needed to be rushed here. 3 turns. Wait. Okay, so yeah, you're fine. You're fine. You go for the artisan's house, and everything else is fine. Greedos Road, yes to the crafting district, and you've got the crafting district, so we'll probably need to rush this once we build it, but that is not right now. Miramar Hills, you're fine, at least for now, though we will probably need to rush it. Ooh, once this gets up there, we should probably rush this, in fact. Yeah, and then... oh, before we trade this away, we should probably pop off a diktat. Oh. I was going to say to make the money, but it's probably not worth it to lose the slaves right now. Oh well, alright, so we'll skip. And ooh, we got a new tech up and running. Good, end turn. Alright, Supervisor, Technology, Marching to War, Speed for Blackheart Corsairs, and some other units that we don't care about. At least not right now. Battle Reinforcement Time, Leadership in Territory, Naval Training when fighting at sea. That'll help out with the Auto-Resolve I'd wager, so we're going to do that next. And yes, we want the upgrade, but for now we got better things to spend it on. Reyes, so you'll be fine for now. You, Lokhir. We'll now need to march stance as we're heading to the destruction of Schmidt's Renegades. And you're going to keep following, Cameron. Gotta get to the level 10 to get that gambling. Really? You're not going to attack us, are you? Oh well. I'll leave it to do whatever. You. Sorceress in here, please. Now we have a Death Hag and a Sorceress in here. Beautiful. And you can keep on moving. You know what? Maybe this turn will get you at least a couple of... or maybe next turn. You know, I'm going to risk March Stancing. Just try not to die, please. It would be tremendously unfortunate. Alright, any islands around here? Not seeing any, but that's alright. We are moving closer and closer to Bretonia, and in the lore, the Dark Elves are a pretty big problem for the Bretonian coastline, so we're going to repeat that. And I am pretty tempted to send Lokhir up northwards towards Bretonia itself. Anyway, Moksha, you're fine. Caliph. Let's see. No island? No island. Alright, go this way then. You've already picked up some extremely important islands, so it's alright if you don't find too many. And how are you for non-aggression pact? Oh, lovely. Queen Khalida, you'll make a nice level, or a nice ally for the Dark Elves. Clan Ricket. I don't know where you are. You're allied with Hag Grief and Death Toll. Alright, fine. Well, we can trade with you, I guess. Another trade partner to get a little bit of cash. And Clan Gouger we can ignore for now, and Confederation no dice. Schmidt's Renegades still want peace, but that's not going to happen. So I guess we'll be ignoring that. Alrighty, Admiral Moksha. I keep checking you, but I should stop. Anyway, let's do building. We got 2 more turns of materials at sea. I guess we'll be trying to get through the entire thing. Temple of Cain? Yes. More capacities for Death Hags and Cainite Assassins. Actually, how are those doing, by the way? Okay, yeah, we can get another Death Hag, which is good. Healing. Frenzied Assault passive ability, Rampage, but melee attack increase for allies. Oh. I thought this would be just for the Death Hag herself, but it's actually for allies as well. Oh, we could probably put this to good use. Huh. Interestingly, this could counteract the lack of melee attack on the Sisters of Slaughter. Despite being Cain's Fury, but, It's certainly something to think about. I'm not sure that we can afford that army right now, but yes, anyway. Masters, we have no capacity, unfortunately. At least not yet. Lethal Shadow and Menacing. This one we don't care about, unfortunately, either. But this does mean we can build another Black Ark Corsair hero. Although, again, I'm not entirely sure where we want to put those. Anyway, what do we have here? Yes to the cheap upgrades. Fighting pits, torture posts, etc. We'll go for the slave district here. You're going to be finished up next turn, so you're good. We don't need to rush anything. We may need to rush a building in Magritte. Well, actually, no, we won't. So you're fine as you are. You're fine as you are. Orchid Coast. Let's upgrade that Shrine of Cain. Gotta have those everywhere, and yeah, it looks like we won't make it to tier 4, but it is what it is. And keep building those crafting districts. Now we're making money. Isn't it lovely? Melok's Lair. Can you collect income? I mean, you can. Why not? Go for it. Oh, you desperately need a Shrine of Cain for the anti-corruption. That's going to be an issue for a while. You do still have the Diktat for 5 turns, so you're fine. Scab Breach. Ugh, going to keep checking that every turn. And Arrayas. Wait, didn't I leave one of the places for rushing? Ah, yes, you. Slave production quotas. We'll need to rush this. I guess we could rush it right now. Fine. It's something we can afford. So rush Muros, and then we'll probably need to rush one of these as well. Give the Dark Elf Harbor, the Shrine of Cain. Public order is dropping, but that's alright. And the Sorceress's Abode. A little bit of research and then Sorceress capacity. Soon every single one of our Black Arks will have a Sorceress as well, so they will have magics to rely upon. We'll need to give one to Moksha. I would prefer to wait until they get their names of power, though, before doing that. You know what, Moksha, I think you're going to break this blockade. I want you to start building Black Ark stuff, so retreat. And yeah, like I said, we can win this fight simply by breaking down the gate with Moksha, just punching it, but I don't know if I want to do that. He doesn't even have a monster or anything. It feels a little bit cheap, you know what I mean?
Pulling back.
Alright, so yeah, you're just going to go into Dread Expansion right out here, and you're going to pop into the next level of Black Ark, and then the next level afterwards. I want to upgrade this stuff while we have the ability to do so. Kaleth, you've moved this turn. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of this back and forth checking, unfortunately, at least for a little while. And do we want to upgrade the cell decks? Yeah, I think with the cell decks at least we do, in every single Black Ark. I was kind of tempted to do that with Moksha as well. We need 8 for this. Oh, I can't even check. Okay, well, thanks, game. Real useful. Anyway, let's end the turn, I guess. Alright, Imminent Rebellion in Estalian Highlands. Well, we're about to trade at this very turn, so that's fine. Garros Deathmaker has appeared, but I don't think we're going to go back to deal with those beastmen at now. And mission issued and mission completed. Substantial income. Isn't it lovely? Alright, now, I see that Siegfried Schmidt is moving in, so we're going to pop into ambush stance on Lokhir, and you are going to move right here. And we still need to move, so I think we'll hopefully try to bait them into attacking us, regardless of the attrition. Unfortunate though it may be. And we can always park the Black Arks a teensy bit closer, as the enemy shouldn't be able to do anything about them anyway. And we'll need to recruit troops for them now that we're making money again, so that we can send those 2 out to go elsewhere. I think one we'll send to Norska because we have a quest for the Red Blades with Lokhir, so why not? Can we increase the ambush success chance? We can, but we'll trespass in Pina Wood if we do. Maybe we won't trespass for now. Not that we care so much about trespassing. It's no, these guys don't like us, do they? Then trespass, I don't care. Alright, well, let's see if we can't ambush this guy if he tries to go after Cammering. You two, Dread Expansion, please. And then since you've moved, you can start moving back towards Diamanterra, I guess? Maybe. I'll think about it. You can move out. Move out here. Come on, we gotta have an island somewhere out here. No. Oh, freaking sloppy Crookshank. Okay, well, that's gonna be dangerous. He will attack us next turn, I'd wager. Might be the thing that's been picking up all the islands and explains why none of them are here. Alright, I'm gonna pop into Dread Expansion and we'll wait. Do Black Arks have no way to reacquire Winds of Magic Power Reserve? We'll need to get some kind of upgrade for that. Oh well. Well, let's hope you survive Sloppy Crookshank attacking you, because it's going to be a dangerous fight, especially since you don't have a full stack as yet. Maybe if we have some spare cash, we'll recruit some stuff then. Anyway, Admiral Caleth, you've got a long way to travel, so continue doing so. Okay, actually move out here to get rid of the fog. I was just wondering whether there were any islands there. Ah, there's one. Pick that up afterwards. Lovely. And Moksha, yes, I guess you are going to move. Go close towards Diamanterra in case Siegfried Schmidt grabs Diamanterra instead of attempting to go after Cammering. It's a distinct possibility as well. Alright, I don't care about the rebellious nature of Diamanterra right now. We have one... Oh, last turn of materials at sea. Alright, so we'll risk upgrading it. It's not much of an expense, so even if it falls, it falls. It shouldn't be, hopefully, a problem. Alright, now, since this is the last turn of materials at sea, the last major administrative turn, we should put it to good use. Use up whatever upgrades that we possibly can. So yeah, I wanted to get to the Tower of Dark Rituals. We can't do that, but we can go for the Sorceress's Abode. Or we could go through the Shrine of Cain. We don't have corruption here. Oh, actually, Sanashi corruption is growing. From adjacent provinces. Yeah, that's going to cause a problem, but we were intending to betray Nakari anyway, so maybe it's not as big of a problem. Let us get the Artisan's House there. And maybe rush it. I will think about it. To reduce the costs. You know, I'd go for the Sorceress's Abode anyway. We'll still build the Shrine of Cain, but probably after you go up in tier, I mean. Alright, you are fine as you are. Let's upgrade the Beastmaster's stables. A little bit on the expensive side, but it's alright. Alright, all of these ports, yes to the upgrades. Like so, and then here we'll want the slaves used by buildings reduction. I don't know if it's worth it if it's only the crafting district without torture posts, but, you know, for now that's what we'll do. Later on we'll probably replace them with additional capacity buildings. Shrine of Cain and stuff, you're fine. You. Oh, we wanted to rush a thing here, so we will go for the Dark Tower and then we'll immediately rush it. So that we can immediately upgrade the Vintner, the Guild Halls, and another one of these slave slums, which at least, again, will provide us public orders. So there's that aspect to it. Isla de Sangre, you are fine as you are. One little bit away from being upgraded to tier 3 and then rush to it. But oh well. If we can't, we can't. Scab Reach, this is the last turn of materials at sea, so we are going to rush you, expensive though you are, and start upgrading you to the next tier, because it's never going to get any cheaper. You're still not collecting money. We could go for the torture post, so admittedly, I don't know if it's worth it. This is a plus 10 right now. We'll need to counteract that with the Altar of Cain, so build it right now, expensive though it may be, and can we rush it? It'll put us below the 10k, but we'll get it right back immediately after. And maybe the torture posts. So this one we wouldn't need to rush. Fine, screw it. Do this, and then Temple of Cain. And oh! I didn't realize that I hadn't rushed this, but this one we... I mean, we could rush. We're down minus 5% construction cost reduction. This will take us... would we actually save anything? I mean, we'd save some money. We just have to go back over 10k afterwards. Fine, do it. It annoys me, but do it. Since we're keeping the place. It'll at least still provide us capacities, and we might as well get started on this upgrade. Or on these buildings. And you might as well get a Sorcerer's Abode. Why not? I did say capacities in this place. I'm almost tempted to say maybe instead of the torture post we build another capacity, but for now we'll hold off. There we go. Now we've dropped below 10k slaves, which means we gotta get to fighting, which we'll do. We can also sell Reyes to these guys. For 12,000 gold. Lizardmen, you've been tremendously useful. Thank you. And there our money is back in pretty good shape, even if our slaves are not. Let's change that, shall we? End turn. Looks like they will attack Diamanterra, and... it's a Pyrrhic victory in our favor. Oh, probably because of the Black Ark support? I actually don't think that, I actually think that this game is lying in our favor. I think the enemy will win this. And because I think the enemy will win this, we're not going to be cheap and use auto-resolve in our favor. If the enemy wins, then they deserve to win. Therefore, we're going to fight it, and if we lose, we lose. Go. Huh. I heard slay them from one of the regular units, and not the Death Hag, but the Death Hag counts as the lord of this particular army, which is kind of interesting that it wasn't the other units, but oh well, not a big deal. Anyway, here we go. I don't expect we have any kind of chance here whatsoever, as in we can't really win. The auto-resolve is absolutely 100% lying in our favor here, but that's alright. A little less stand battles have been some of the very finest battles that I've had the pleasure to fight in some campaigns, so I will enjoy this one, depending on how it goes. Alright, well, asterisk, we could win this battle by cheesing the AI, but I don't believe in doing that because I consider it unfun, so we're obviously not going to do that. Anyway, what we are going to do is take advantage of the terrain and stuff. Obviously, the enemy is Vampire Coast, and thus they have primarily direct fire units, so we are going to use the sort of hull-down tactics that a tank, for example, might use to some degree, and we're going to use the hill for cover and fire back at the enemy with our crossbows. But the enemy can't really fire back at us. Whether it works out to any kind of a reasonable degree, we shall see, but we will disrupt the enemy's line of sight as best we can with the hill here. Over on the front line, a unit of scurvy dogs have closed the distance and are being cut down by the dread spears and by our single death hag, who has got a number of them. On the other hand, however, there's plenty more where that came from, and by the looks of it, they're heading towards our Blackheart Corsairs with handbows. There is another unit of deck droppers. Well, another, but there is a unit of deck droppers up in the sky, which we're going to try to drop out of there as well. And deck droppers are absolutely not to be underestimated in SFO. 17 missile strength on these guys. Again, thanks to black powder aplenty, but that's quite a lot. Anyway, we're firing at the enemy. They can't really fire back, but they can certainly do damage in melee. And it looks like the two units of Scurvy Dogs absolutely tore through one of the units of Blackheart Corsairs. You also got to remember that since this is a defensive garrison, a small defensive garrison at that, but our garrison units aren't buffed like our Blackheart, Fleet Master units and stuff are. So these guys are a lot weaker than they are in our other armies. Anyway, the enemy Lord has closed the distance and is being distracted by some bleak swords. We're going to try to pincushion said Lord with the limited numbers of dark shards that we have, but looks like, unfortunately, our melee line is already buckling. The units of Blackheart Corsairs got torn to shreds by the enemy bomber units. And whatever other range units came in, it does look like the enemy ran their pistols up, which does make sense so that they can actually fire upon us. And most of our units are done now, just a matter of a little bit of a shootout between the enemy range units and our dark shards, but it won't last too long as the enemy closes the distance with some polearms and starts cutting those dark shards down. Considering there's also a lot of fear and terror in the enemy army, the units are probably not going to be too happy about that. The main thing I wanted to try to do here was to try to focus down and kill off the enemy Lord, who we did manage to start crumbling, but it looks like it just wasn't enough, as our army will break before we can bring down the Lord. Oh well, not a big deal. At the end of the day, this was still more or less a bait settlement, and we should be able to immediately destroy the enemy army afterwards. Now, while I don't like cheesing battles, if you're wondering how I would have cheesed this battle if we wanted to, it was simply, we had that dark conduit ability, which is an explosion like a warp bomb that you essentially settle or use on one single unit. What I would have done is run basically one unit at the enemy, and maybe in the trees here where the enemy would have been forced to blob up, or maybe just like right here somewhere, it doesn't really matter, but kept the rest of the army away, and then as soon as that unit would blobbed up around the enemy, just would have blown it up, and then probably just sort of tried to separate the enemy army as much as possible, but that would have been the main thing. And then obviously dropped Black Arc support on that same said blob in that same manner, but again, it feels a little bit too cheesy to use a single unit. The Death Hag would have been the best option for this because she would have survived, but again, I find the using of lords like that for spells and abilities just like the cheapest sort of tactic. So there wasn't any need. We will win against these guys the real way. Alright, there we go. A nice little last stand for this particular army. Like I said, I don't like to cheat, and the AI wins fair and square here. Oftentimes, the auto-resolve works in the favor of, well, actually, sometimes it works in the favor of the player, sometimes it works in the favor of the AI. Actually, I'd say oftentimes in the favor of the AI, considering how often it screws the player over. Here, it was lying in our favor, and that was absolutely obvious by the strength of the enemy army. And yes, we could have auto-resolved it, and yes, we could have cheesed it mid-battle, but again, not my thing. Everybody enjoys the game their own way. Close defeat, we will. Alright, there we go. Unsurprisingly, Mr. Sloppy Crookshank will indeed attack us. The Doom Wheel and the Rat Ogres and the Warp Lightning Cannons are going to be a massive problem here for us. Well, and so are the Warp Fire Throwers, but just generally speaking, because we don't have those Dark Shards anymore, and thus no easy way to knock these guys out. Still, that should make it a pretty fun fight, so away we go.
Show no mercy.
The rune of Cain shall burn.
Alrighty, here we go. Sloppy Crookshank attacking us, and I'd wager this should be a pretty darn good fight. The enemy's got a lot of elites, and a Skaven army that's elite enough that we probably wouldn't encounter one of this caliber until sort of mid to late game. Doomwheel, the two, I want to say, Warp Fire Throwers, and whatever other weapons teams they have, Storm Vermin, Death Runners, and of course the Warp Lightning Cannons as well. Should be a fun one. Let's see if our Black Ark Corsairs can pull it off, and of course, this is just our melee Black Ark Corsairs, so we have no hand bows to rely upon to, for example, cut down the enemy Rat Ogres. On the bright side, though, Rat Ogres are fairly fragile. Well, they're really fragile when they're not being commanded by a Molder, so we should still be able to deal with them in melee, as they effectively have no melee defense. Anyway, we are going to start the battle off by being deployed as far away from the enemy as possible, and separating our units of Black Ark Corsairs into three distinct blobs. All the while the rest of the AI is perfectly capable of dodging our Black Ark support abilities, the Warp Lightning Cannons and their crews, not so much. So we're going to start by getting the abilities off cooldown and trying to do as much damage to the Warp Lightning Cannons as possible. By the looks of it, neither of the Black Ark support abilities is going to destroy any of the actual cannons, but their crews are pretty severely damaged, and if we can close the distance with at least one of our Black Ark Corsairs, they should be fine. Over all the way on our right flank, it looks like, or the sort of right of mid flank, but anyway, the enemy Doomwheel will close the distance, and we're going to peel away specifically our Death Hag as well as one unit of the Black Ark Corsairs to deal with it. And the Death Hag to deliver some nice damage, hopefully as quickly as possible. The Rat Ogres have closed the distance as well, and we are sending 2 units of Twin Blades to try to cut them down. The Twin Blades, I'm sure, will take damage, but will deal damage as well. And there we go, first volley from the enemy Warp Fire Thrower. We're going to close the distance with the enemy Storm Vermin, but otherwise we are going to try our best to run as many of the Black Ark Corsairs directly at the Warp Fire Throwers as we can. Can't really let them get even a single volley or two off. As we've seen in the throughout the Unclean campaign, even one volley from the Warp Fire Throwers, if it connects, will absolutely trash an infantry unit. I think it did like 80% damage to a unit of Great Swords and 100% damage to a unit of Halberdiers, from what I recall with Throt. But anyway, we have cut down the first of the enemy weapons teams, first of the Warp Fire Throwers, and I think it's gone now, but there was a Poison Wind Globadier unit. It looks like, ooh, here, the Death Runners dueled with the Black Ark Corsairs, Twin Blades versus Twin Daggers, and it looks like that went in our way. Admittedly, we have magical damage and a lot of melee attack. Otherwise, the Warp Lightning Cannons are still firing, but not for too much longer, as Black Ark Corsairs close the distance with both units and cut down their crews. The Rat Ogres are out, the Doom Wheel is out, and it looks like the battle, well, is going to be a rather quick one, as there isn't much left. But again, it does make sense for this army, which is probably, again, going to have Witch Elves together with those Twin Blades to sort of adhere to this archetype. Fast, frenzied, damage-dealing sort of deal. I do think the Sisters of Slaughter would be the better pick here in terms of just pure effectiveness, because they they compensate for the weakness that the Black Ark Corsairs with Twin Blades have, and that they have low melee defense, whereas the Sisters of Slaughter have the bleed application as well as high melee defense. But nonetheless, like I said, we could do two different armies with that sort of focus. Either way, Sloppy Crookshank won't be seeing it, as his army is defeated. The majority, I would hope, of the at least melee troops are going to be cut down. I don't really see the Storm Vermin running away out of this, because they're moving at the exact same speed as our Corsairs are, even with the nets down. And while Sloppy himself and the fastest moving elements of his army will escape, we should be able to run them down with our Black Ark next turn. Anyway, still, gotta appreciate these rogue fleets for giving us battles. I wonder if that killed any. Now it just missed. Okay, I gotta remember not to bother to use that on fast-moving units. It's supposed to be against single units. It's a doom bolt. Single units anyway, but oh well, not a big deal. Just wanted to experiment. Alright, gotta thank Sloppy Crookshank for that lovely little fight that we've got. And, ooh, 3.3k, that's pretty tempting. It's a fair chunk of change. We do need to recover the slaves back to 10k, though. This will also heal us, and we're rather slow at healing. Man, I guess we'll take the slaves this time around. Don't make me regret this. Alright, ambush foiled with Lokhir, and I guess that was obvious from the fact that this guy didn't go after us. Anyway, Camring, ooh, can we get you to rank 10 from this? March stands here. You, I guess, will not be needed at Diamanterra, and we will want to repair it, I guess. Repair. Fellheart, you can quickly obliterate what's left of this army. It was already fairly heavily damaged. Probably should have put you into Druki first strike, but then again, I guess it doesn't really matter. And, ooh, actually, if we had, we wouldn't have been able to catch you, because you ran away. Go figure. Alrighty, you're gonna go right here, and we'll proceed to Sahagun and San Luis. Now you can auto-resolve this. Hopefully, we don't take so much damage that you guys get damaged by the, too much by the attrition. And, you know what, I guess we'll heal up then. And that puts us up over 10k again. Beautiful. And Pirate Hunter gives us some more power at sea. You can encamp, and then you can not encamp. But I guess you can pop into Diamanterra, so you'll be fine there. And you can proceed to Sahagun. Moksha, you can, I guess, once more proceed to San Luis, which is not up to 10k yet, but it's getting there. You guys will... Okay, so we'll meet Lokhir at San Luis then. Neither of you two need to upgrade... Well, actually, you could potentially build the prison wing. Alright, fine. You don't need anything... I lied, you do need something. Why do I keep lying? Alrighty, go here. By meeting at San Luis, we can have a Lokhir build you some stuff. Oh, actually, speaking of Lokhir and building stuff, maybe we should go up to tier... Oh, wow, that's gonna take a while. We don't need that tier, right? There's nothing critical here, other than potentially the Helldrake packs, but I think we can also put those in other armies. There is the Sorcerer's Cabin, which is nice, but none of this is critical, so yeah, I think we'll upgrade the Soul Brazier and the Brazen Cauldron. We want those on every one of these guys, after all. You... And we'll proceed this way and then move toward together with Admiral Karond Kar. Rank 8 now, beautiful. Soon you'll be gambling. And then Admiral Moksha. Alright, so you will need to upgrade these two critical buildings, and we'll upgrade the Grand Black Ark to tier 3 next. You're fine for now, minus the prison wing, which we do want. You will want the Dark Elf Manors, and just to double check, you do have... Inspiring Presence, and we can't build any more of these guys as yet? No, we cannot. Alright, that's fine. Works for me. Admiral Kaleth, you are still going after these islands, so grab this fell cargo. That's not an island. Just looked like one. And you can grab, I'm going to say Castle Forged Steel. Hopefully this will make a few auto-resolves a little bit easier. You can move forward and go after the next island. And I do see the... Yeah, I see the... Cult of Sigmar here. Oh, this was an island. Oh, come on, Ruinous. What are you doing, man? Yeah, we'll maybe grab a couple of coastal battles for Admiral Caliph. Maybe that'll get him to rank 10, and then once again, that'll decide what his army will be like. Actually, you know what? There have been a fair amount of islands out here. I don't know if these ogres will be willing to trade with us as well. Alrighty, and then Admiral... Where is Kenwovale, the important one? You need to kill off Sloppy Crookshank and then pick up any islands that you can find. Huh, we could also have you sail down the river here, maybe grab a few coastal things? I don't know if there are actually ports over there. Either way, you're going through Infamous Raiders, so keep doing so. Let's also level up the Death Hag, definitely replenish troops and Dance of Death. I guess to heal up fast, we'll probably want Death Hags in every single one of the... every single one of these armies, maybe? Anyway. Auto-resolve what remains of Crookshank's army. I like so. Probably going to damage us a little bit, but what can you do? Oh, wow, that's more than a little bit. I'd love to take the money, but I guess we'll have to enslave to heal. What are you going to do? And Great Point Scuttler is destroyed. Alright, up north, towards islands, and towards any coastal hello, Torbadoos and an island. Well, isn't it lovely? You're going to go here, sack Torbadoos, grab the island, and just keep on going. Alright, if we have any spare money... Oh, it'll take 2 turns to recruit Sisters of Slaughter, right? Yeah, alright. So we'll wait until we can freely, you know, take that time to heal and whatnot, and then we'll deal with that. Anyway, we no longer have materials at sea, so we now have to, you know, pay actual cash, proper cash for all of the building. And I guess we no longer will need to rush things here, so you can demand highborn hostages. Oh, I wanted to rush this, but I guess it's too late for that now. Anyway, Malok's Lair. Might as well upgrade the Dark Tower here. It's a single settlement, but those are really good for building capacities. You can build the guild halls, and you can build the guild halls. Change this turn, used 191. Alright, so... yeah, I wonder how many we'll be losing out of this territory, but we'll see. Miramar Hills, do you want to start collecting income? You have 3... well, that's barely anything. I think we actually prefer the growth here instead. And Diamanterra, we'll see if you... We are just short of being able to use Fights to the Death. I think we'll probably pop that off. Counteract the provincial instability. One maybe next turn. Although, if we do it now, it'll prevent it from going to... yeah, you know what? Fine, do it right now. Fight to the death. Yes. Alright. Diplomacy. We are good here, and oh, you know what we're good with? We're good with time, and that we are, unfortunately, at this point, out of time. So I think this is probably going to be the best time to call it. I think with regards to what we're going to do, other than that whole sell and betray thing that you're going for our territory, aren't you? No, they're at war with these guys. I really would like them not to attack our territories, but we'll see. Although we do have pretty decent defenses, so once our settlements are all tier 3, they should be able to defend themselves pretty well, even without buildings. But anyway, what I was saying is, after we're done with these guys, we'll ignore Eschen for now, and we'll head through the mountains to take these territories, and then move southward to either wipe these guys out if Clan Scryer fails, but even if they don't, I think we will probably attack Nakari. Clan Scryer, I think, will keep. The thing is, we need somebody to hold the mountains, and much as the bonus gifts have made the lizards like us a little bit more, it's probably not going to work. We'd have to give them more, that's the thing. And there isn't really any more to give. Because... I mean, I guess if we were to take all of this... Wait, vampiric corruption in Miragliano and all of this? Whoa, what the heck? Are you... vampiric corruption up here as well? Oh, wow. I think this is this vampire faction. They're doing really well. Huh, go figure. Sartosa, not so much. I mean, this massive coastline is definitely one we want. There's so many ports here, and that's Black Arcs. This is probably going to make up the majority of our main territory, but with all the mountains being red territory, we will have to decide between Scryer and lizards. Again, the thing with Cult of Sotek is if we ally with Cult of Sotek, we'll effectively be able to ally with nobody else. Plus, again, it tremendously amuses me to have sold them the stuff and then to immediately attack them to take it back, just to sell it to somebody else. It's very funny. The only thing is, out of the Cult of Sotek's faction, there are probably a few monsters that we could put in our armies, whereas with Scryer, their tech, I don't know, the elves, even, and that includes Dark Elves, aren't super appreciative of the unreliable tech. It's why they don't use firearms. Well, one of the reasons they don't use firearms themselves, even though the Dark Elves are a little bit more open to innovation than for example, dwarfs and, the other elves either. And Dark Elves are a lot more open to it, like by doing the whole crossbow thing that the elves, that Dark Elves do, that they took from the dwarfs, or that Malekith took from the dwarfs, because he found them pretty nice and adjusted them. But anyway, all that aside, next time, more fighting, we'll wipe out Schmidt's Renegades, and then we'll move to whoever we need to move against here as well. Stay tuned for it. Don't forget to leave those likes and comments below, especially to Threshold for the longer episodes. All glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.